Hello everyone. Today, I will reveal an interesting little-known truth behind the character LyTuCam, a woman who seems weak but carries within her an extraordinary journey. From loss, falling, then standing up and finding the light of life again. Today's story is not only about tears, but also about faith, kindness, and revival after the darkest nights. Don't forget to share your feelings after listening, because sometimes just a warm comment is enough to give strength to those who need hope. And now, let's dive into the truth behind the life of LyTuCam, a character who makes many hearts stop when understanding all that she has experienced. In a quiet rural village, where dusty red roads wind along the foot of the mountains, there lived a woman named LyTuCam. She was born into poverty, raised by hardship, and never once tasted the sweetness of an easy life. From a young age, she learned how to carry water, till the soil, and do whatever work came her way just to survive. After her parents passed away, LyTuCam became completely alone, wandering from village to village in search of a job, any job that could feed her for one more day. Every morning, she left her tiny hut before sunrise and returned home long after the sun had set. Her hands were rough, her shoulders bent from years of labor. Yet inside her heart, a small spark of faith still lived. The belief that life, someday, would show mercy to those who never gave up. One late afternoon, while working deep in the forest, she heard a faint cry echoing through the tall grass. At first, she thought it was an animal, until she realized it was the sound of a baby. Following the cries, she found a small infant wrapped in a dirty piece of cloth, left alone in the cold. The child was trembling, weak, and barely breathing. LyTuCam's heart clenched. She picked up the baby, tears filling her eyes. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Don't cry, little one. From now on, you have a mother." That night, she lit a small fire, wrapped the baby close, and stayed awake until morning. She named him Swai, Mango, after the fruit that grew plentiful in the season she found him, a symbol of new life sprouting amid despair. From that day on, her lonely hut was no longer silent. There was laughter, there were cries, there was hope. She carried baby Swai everywhere, to the fields, to the market, even into her dreams. Though her life was still harsh, the sound of a child's laughter gave her strength to face each new dawn. She realized something profound. Poverty cannot steal love, nor silence a mother's heart. One day, while transporting firewood down a steep hill, her motorbike slipped. She fell, scraping her knees, the wood scattering across the road. Baby Swai cried loudly, frightened by the crash. Just then, a man stopped his bike nearby. He wore a police uniform and a look of concern. His name was Nam, a young officer newly assigned to the mountain district. He helped her gather the wood, bandaged her wound, and offered to escort her home. From that day, he often visited, repairing her roof, fixing her fence, bringing food for the baby. He never treated her with pity, only with quiet respect. LyTuCam, shy and reserved, often thanked him in whispers. And though they spoke little, an invisible bond grew between them, built not by words but by kindness. Before leaving for a distant assignment, Nam said softly, "No matter what happens, please remember, there will always be someone who stands by your side." LyTuCam nodded, her eyes glistening. She had no idea that those words would one day become her only lifeline. A week later, tragedy struck. The landowner who rented her the hut came demanding she leave. He said the land was being reclaimed for a construction project. LyTuCam begged, holding her sleeping child. "Please, just a few more days. We have nowhere to go." But the man turned away, slamming the gate shut behind her. That night, rain poured. She carried Swai through the storm, walking aimlessly down the muddy road. Her feet were bare, her arms weak, her voice hoarse from calling for help. When the night deepened, she collapsed beside the road, exhausted. The baby whimpered in her arms. Then, headlights cut through the rain. A motorbike stopped. A middle-aged man stepped down, his voice rough but gentle. "Don't be afraid. My name's Tien. I have an old hut behind my farm. Stay there for now." From that moment, Mr. Tien became her savior. He helped repair the broken roof, brought rice every evening, even played with baby Joy when she worked in the garden. He was a quiet man, carrying a deep kindness in his eyes, and for the first time in years, LyTuCam felt safe. Truly safe. But rumors travel faster than the wind in small villages. People began to talk, whispering that the widow living in Tien's hut was too close to him. Before long, his wife found out. One afternoon, the woman came storming into the backyard. Her voice was sharp, trembling with anger. "Who are you? Why are you living here with my husband?" LyTuCam froze, clutching the baby. "Please, madam, he only helped me. There's nothing between us." But the wife didn't believe a word. Jealousy turned to rage, and rage turned to something darker. One night, as LyTuCam returned from work, shadows moved from the trees. Two men in dark clothes blocked her path. Their faces were hidden. One of them hissed, "So you're the woman who ruined a family. Come with us." She trembled, shielding her child. "Please, I didn't do anything wrong." But they didn't care. One man lunged forward, shoving her to the ground. She screamed, clutching her baby tight. Suddenly, another figure burst out from the dark, Mr. Tien. He swung a stick, shouting, "Leave her alone!" A struggle erupted. The sound of fists, shouting, breaking branches. Chaos filled the night. Then, through the noise came a powerful voice. "Police, stop right there!" Flashlights cut through the darkness. Officer Nam and his team appeared. Within moments, the attackers were caught. Their leader, pale, shaking, confessed everything. The assault had been ordered by none other than Tien's wife. LyTuCam fell to her knees, tears mixing with the rain. She looked up at Nam, her voice breaking. "You were right. There are still people who stand by me." Nam placed a hand on her shoulder. In that moment, the storm finally ended, both outside and inside her heart. After that night, Nam and Mr. Tien decided to help her rebuild her life. Together, they bought a small plot of land on the hillside, where they built a wooden house for her and baby Joy. Each hammer strike, each brick, carried the warmth of compassion. When the house was finished, the morning sun poured through the open door. Baby Joy ran around, laughing, calling both men father. Neither of them corrected him, because in their hearts, this little family felt whole. LyTuCam watched the scene, eyes wet with gratitude. She whispered softly, "As long as my child is safe, that's all I'll ever need." The wind carried her words across the valley, where the hills echoed them back like a quiet blessing. Life slowly returned to peace. Nam visited often, bringing small gifts for Joy, sometimes helping Tien in the garden. Together, they shared meals under the afternoon sun. 3 lives bound by fate. 3 souls who had once been strangers, now tied by kindness and trust. The villagers who once gossiped began to see the truth. That LyTuCam was not a threat, not a destroyer, but a survivor. A woman who had endured every cruelty, yet still chose to be gentle. Every evening, she sat by the window, watching the sunset paint the sky. Baby Joy played outside, laughter echoing through the mountains. Smoke rose from the chimney, blending with the scent of earth and rain. For the first time, she truly understood what peace meant. Her story spread quietly, from one village to another, not as a tale of tragedy, but as a lesson in faith, compassion, and resilience. If anyone were to ask her, "What is peace?" LyTuCam would smile softly and say, "Peace is when fear no longer lives in your heart, and gratitude takes its place."
Chúng ta vừa cùng nhau đi qua một hành trình nhỏ nhưng là chất chứa thật nhiều cảm xúc, từ những nỗi buồn, những giọt nước mắt cho đến cả những khoảnh khắc bình yên, giản dị vô cùng quý giá. Cảm ơn bạn đã đồng hành và lắng nghe đến tận những giây phút cuối cùng. Mỗi một lượt xem, mỗi một ánh mắt dừng lại, mỗi một trái tim cùng đồng cảm đều là nguồn động lực để cho những câu chuyện như thế này được tiếp tục viết nên. Nếu cuộc sống còn bộn bề, đôi khi chỉ cần những giây phút lắng lại, ta sẽ nhận ra rằng niềm tin, lòng nhân ái và sự sẻ chia luôn có sức mạnh chữa lành kỳ diệu. Và cũng chính nhờ có bạn, người không ai dành thời gian quý giá để đồng hành, mà hành trình của nhân vật trong câu chuyện này trở nên trọn vẹn hơn, ấm áp hơn. Dù phía trước vẫn còn nhiều chông gai, nhưng chỉ cần trái tim con người biết hướng về nhau thì bóng tối nào cũng sẽ được soi sáng bởi một tia hy vọng. Xin gửi đến bạn lời cảm ơn chân thành nhất. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong các tập tiếp theo, nơi câu chuyện còn tiếp tục mở ra và những bước chân kiên cường luôn vẫn rất lặng lẽ và niềm tin chưa bao giờ tắt. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Chúc các bạn luôn bình an.